It's our favorite time of year, the annual kids show. We've got a lively studio full of future anglers, some amazing guests from IGFA, Guy Harvey, and CCA. Rick, this one's all about fun.
You're absolutely right, Bree. This show is about getting kids hooked on fishing and excited about hitting the water.
So let's kick it off on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Let's hear it, kids. It starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Well, everyone, you heard it. We're kicking off the official start of summer with the future of fishing in the house. And Rick, I know you've had your share of making memories on the water with your boys, as I have just started making my own with Leo and Mia.
Absolutely.
And I think we have some pictures we're going to show of our families. There you are. Woo, with Mia.
That's
and Leo.
We needed B-roll for the show, so what did we do? We took Mia and Leo trout fishing, we caught pinfish, we had the best time ever. And then we got ice cream at the end of the day.
And Rick,
you know what?
You
Look, this is Ridge and Colin when they were little guys the same age as Mia and Leah. And guess what? Now they've grown up to be full-blown men.
Full-blown men.
And
amazing
most of the
anglers.
time, I got to draw the straw to even get the job on my boat.
Well, that's what you raised them for. Right?
I know.
All right. Well, I'm so excited to see what our captains have to say. But first, let's say hi to Dave Farrell, the CCA Workbench, along with our Phillips and Jordan Southwest region, Ronnie Houston, and Black LED Keys region, Captain Bryce Murphy. Hello, boys.
I just heard ice cream. I heard somebody mention ice cream, and that's all I've been focused on since I've heard those two words.
Well, ice cream and snacks and all sorts of things I'm sure we'll be talking about.
For me, it's good being here. As you couldn't tell by the gray in my hair, but I feel like a kid every day. I still feel like a kid.
That's right.
Love being on the water and love the outdoors.
We're glad to have you guys here. Thank you so much. All right, we're starting our kid craze on the Northeast Region Fishing Playground with Captain Tommy Derringer, who as a father of 3 girls, definitely knows how to keep up and keep them casting. Hi, Tommy.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Bree. Hey, Rick. Hey, guys. Hey, kids. Welcome to the studio. And yeah, you know, I've got 3 kids of my own. They love fishing, and I love having kids on the boat. I'm always excited to have them out there with me. And you know, we have a ton of different fishing opportunities for the kids here in the Northeast region. You don't even really need a boat to get the kids on some fish. The beach, that's a great place to take the kids fishing, because if they need to do something else, they can swim, they can take a snack or a sandcastle break when they need to, and that's usually going to be necessary. Make sure you have some other stuff for them to do. But we also have all the local fishing piers. Those are very kid-friendly fishing spots. And then there's quite a few public parks that are on the water as well, both in the salt and the freshwater, and they have some cool docks you can fish off of. Another great way to get kids involved in fishing is going to be to join one of the fishing clubs that we have in the region. You know, the Ancient City Game Fish Association, the Flagler Sport Fishing Club, and the Jacksonville Offshore Sport Fishing Club. That's just a few of them. They all have great kids events. They're heavily involved with that kind of stuff, with clinics and fishing tournaments throughout the year for the kids. And then, you know, also the CCA, sign them up for the CCA Star event. It's a great way to get them into fishing as well. But guys, my favorite fish, the redfish, is such a great fish to get those kids hooked into. And you can catch them from just about anywhere there's some salt water. You know, during the summer months that we're in right now, the redfish are an easy target. You can just rig up a jig or a circle hook and a live or a dead shrimp, and then you can cast them in any of the creek holes throughout the region and catch them. If you're looking to bend a rod with the kids this weekend, it's a great time to get out there and catch some of those redfish. Low tide's going to be late morning. That outgoing tide earlier in the day when it's still cool, it's a perfect time to get out there, fish the creek bends with the kids. And speaking of catching redfish with the kids, I got a picture here. This is Leo and Marco with one of Marco's big redfish that they recently caught with me in St. Augustine, and those boys are some redfish slayers. They've caught a lot of nice fish with me.
Nice.
All right, also inshore, guys, the tarpon continue to be around in good numbers this week. You know, if you can find the bait, which would be pogies along the beach, you're most likely going to find the tarpon as well, especially if you're out early in the morning. There's also been quite a few big tarpon in the backcountry. You know, we've been tossing either a medium-large mullet under a cork or a large saltwater assassin paddle tail at those inshore fish. And they've been chewing. That one you're holding right there, Rick, that's a great color. You know, and just to locate those tarpon, look in some of those bigger creeks, go slow, and just keep an eye out for rolling fish. You can miss them if you don't stop and look. So take a moment, look around for those rolling fish, and you'll probably find them. Now, moving offshore, The kingfish bite continues to be solid throughout the region. The nearshore reefs have been pretty consistent this week. Slow trolling live baits and spoons have been working well out there. The beach kingfish, they've been a little more finicky. The water's gotten a little cool with some upwelling. And last weekend, we had the old school kingfish shootout here in St. Augustine. And there wasn't a ton of fish weighed in, but there was some big ones. Those guys had to stay within 3 miles of the beach. Most of the anglers that caught fish that I talked to told me they were just slow trolling pogies, staying at about 30, 60 feet of water. Now, outside the inlets seemed to be a hot spot for those guys last weekend. And I've got another picture here. This is Jeremiah Bush and his daughter with the winning fish from the old school kingfish shootout. And they look pretty pumped, and congratulations, guys. They won some cool stuff.
Yeah, they sure did. Go ahead. What else you got? Snappers, man. Tell me about them.
Mangrove snappers, Rick. They're a great fish for the kids. Any kind of snapper are. The mangoes have been chewing offshore this month, and it continues to be the go-to species for most of our offshore captains this week. And weekend, I spoke to Captain Jimmy Laidler from the Legend Fishing. He tells me he's still on a great mangrove snapper bite in that 120 on out to 160 feet. Captain Jimmy said he's been fishing the mangoes just like you guys do down there in South Florida for the yellowtails. He's just chumming them up, and he's drifting some small chunks of cut bait back on a small 1 or 2 aught circle hook. That's the go-to method really right now to catch a bunch of mangoes over the next couple of months. And I've got one last picture here. Captain Jimmy from the Legend, he sent me this picture of Prior Lagunas with quite a haul of, there's some mangoes, there's some snappers, some AJs, all kinds of stuff that he caught aboard the Legend. Do you think that kid's stoked right there?
Yeah, man. I'm stoked, and I'm over
Just
here in
a
the
little
studio
bit.
with all these babies,
Look at all these
dude.
babies we got. Woohoo.
That's awesome.
Tommy, you did great tonight. Thanks for starting us off. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. Tommy says that you want to look for tarpon inshore along the beaches early in the morning. Look for the pokey pods with feeding tarpon busting or rolling. And then offshore, mangrove snappers on the bigger structures in 120 to 160 foot depth throughout the entire region. What do you think, Bree?
Well, I think now we have another father of 3 in the Auto Equipment East region, Captain Mike Holliday. And throughout the years, he's learned you just need to keep the action going. Hello, Mike. How you doing?
That's the key, Bree. You need to focus more on action and the size of the fish. The more fish they catch, the better time they'll have. They really don't care about the size, but during the time you're fishing with them, you want to emphasize casting, not tying, handling and releasing fish. Some of the best action this time of the year, Tommy brought it up, is in the surf for whiting and croakers, or just fishing off the local piers and bridges for mangrove snapper. Small snook are another good option. Just make sure you praise them a lot when they make a good cast or reel in a fish. And then as they build their skills, you can start introducing them to lures like saltwater sass and shads and swimming plugs and spoons. And if live baiting is a game, you want to add a bobber, something they can watch, and it helps them understand, when the fish are feeding and how they're feeding. And in no time, before you realize it, they're throwing cast nets and pitching baits out on their own. I got a photo from Captain Jonathan Earhart. He led this family to a nice catch of black drum around the Stewart Causeway, just fishing live shrimp on a jig head. The other thing, the catch and release snook, we saw the first big push of fish into the inlets with last week's full moon. And as that moon backs off, those fish are going to spread out along the beaches, move to the shorelines and docks near the inlets. There's always a nice population of male snook that'll hold around the inlets. The larger fish are going to stage around the docks and bridges and seawalls on the inside or up or out in the deeper water. On the beaches, a copper juice, saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad is great during those low light levels. But if the water's clear and the sun gets up, you want to switch to a live pilchard, a threadfin, or a croaker. In the inlets, those same baits are going to work. Average snook right now is 8 to 15 pounds. And I got a photo of Pax Shook with a snook. He caught fishing with Captain Ed Zayak at Jensen Beach, and that fish had a live pilchard.
Way to go, Eddie. All right, take us offshore, Mike.
Yeah, the summer sailfish population is starting to gang up along the deeper reefs and wrecks throughout the region. The most consistent action right now is still between Jupiter and Stewart in 90 to 150 feet of water. But, there's fish spread out through the region, anywhere from 60 to 180 feet of water. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll see those fish breaking up into small packs of 3 to 6. And, when you hook those, you want to keep some baits in the water. see if you can double up or triple up. And anywhere you find bait offshore is going to have fish, either troll ballyhoo with a blue and white skirt, or slow troll, live baits like a threadfin, a pilchard, or sardine. Average sailfish right now is going to be 40 to 50 pounds. And Captain Rich Du Bois on the Salty Days charter boat, he sent me this shot of a nice sailfish this young lad released. That fish ate a live threadfin in 126 feet of water. The other offshore bite we got going, the blackfin tuna bite is slowing a bit, but there's still plenty of fish to be caught early and late in the day in 200 to 400 feet of water off the breakers, off Push Button Hill, and off the Rankin Wreck. There's a lot of small fish showing up right now, so this is a good time to switch over to just pulling, red or a silver or a white feather, or just stopping and live chumming with small pilchards and putting out a bait on 30-pound fluorocarbon leader in a small, like 2-0 circle hook. Look for the diving birds or tunas leaping out of the water or busting bait. They can be a bit boat shy, so make sure you have it, something out way behind the boat. You can also get them with a jigging spoon this time of year if you mark them underneath the boat. Average blackfin tuna is going to be 5 to 25 pounds. And Captain Charlie Stube of Jupiter, he got this fish for this nice blackfin tuna for this young kid. That fish ate a live sardine in 280 feet of water straight out of Jupiter.
He sure did. All right, I got to have a bass report before we go. What do you got, Bubba?
Yeah, water levels are still low on Lake Okeechobee, so you just need to be careful when you're navigating. But there's a good early morning shad bite in the open water areas. Look for diving birds and busting fish. Throw a white spinnerbait, shad-colored Bass Assassin split-tail shad, or a small topwater plug. I was talking to Captain Nathan Schoen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He's saying the fish are really concentrated in the deeper water areas like Harney Pond Canal, Sportsman's Canal, Indian Prairie Canal, and the Kissimmee River, and that a June bug or black and blue worm rigged either Texas style or Senko style or a large shad-colored swim bait is going to work best. The 20 to 30 fish day on Okeechobee right now. Stick to the deeper water areas.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots from the East region. Mike says inshore spotted sea trout on the flats in front of Big Mud Creek. Use saltwater assassin, pilchard colored shads, topwater plugs, or even a live shrimp. And then offshore, kingfish, bonitas, and an occasional sailfish on the sand pile off of Stewart. Live sardines on a number 4 wire and a 7-0 circle hook will work best for those offshore species.
All right, Rick. Well, so far, so good. Coming up, we're saying hi to our friend from IGFA and seeing how Dave Farrell, another father of 3, is wrangling all the guppies for rigs and techniques at the CCA Workbench.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about some things that you can get to make your trip with your kids a little easier.
Well, that sounds great. Also, IGFA is here talking about fishing summer camps and then get ready for your play date on the water with Captain Pat Deneen in the Panhandle region. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. ACR. Less search, more rescue. Scientific Anglers. Failure is not an option. Penn. Let the battle begin. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Well, we're here at the CCA Workbench. Dave, we're talking about rigs and techniques on taking these babies fishing. Go ahead.
Well, it's always a joy to take the little ones out for a fish, and you want to try to make it as easy as possible for you and the kid, Last thing we need is drama with our equipment or just drama, period, when we're out with our children. I know that's very hard to get around, but it can be done. Okay, we're going to start here with a couple of the big stuff, the rods and reels that were donated by Pure Fishing that all the kids in here are going to be able to get. The first one's going to be the little jellyfish spin cast combo. A spin casting rod and reel is a great way to start. It really gets the casting motion down. Can't be easier to use. Push a button, let it go. And after once they get the idea that they let go right here, then they can move on to bigger stuff. What's really cool about this one, it's got this little jelly grip on here,
right?
That your little hands can get right into it and
like these.
Yeah, exactly, and get a good grip. And it's got a two-piece tubular rod, but we're gonna go ahead and break it in half. it's got a really neat elastic inside,
Look,
which they never.
so that they can't lose the tip.
Yeah, they never had that when I was a kid.
Nope.
So I had a lot of these around.
Yes, you did.
I had a lot of bottoms with no tips, but because we ended up using them for swords anyway. But anyway, that has a 2-piece tubular, like I said, and it's pre-spooled with a colorful 6-pound test line. So I think it's
There it is.
colorful. Is it colorful?
Yeah, it's colorful.
Okay.
It's pretty color to me.
Anyway.
Okay.
Next rod and reel. Once you get them going good on that one, spinning combos are real good next step up. And this is a spinning combo called the Catch More Fish.
Catch more fish.
Lake Pond Spring. Your anglers will find everything they need to enjoy a nice day on the pond or the lake. It comes with a tackle box that's full of stuff. The rod and reel, 6 foot long, still has that same tubular connection. This little tackle box comes with a ton of stuff. Berkeley power bait, grubs, you can't open it.
Oh.
Bobbers, hooks, all the stuff that you would need. Power grubs, and this reel is spooled with 6-pound string.
Got it.
Which is good line. A lot of times when you get some of these cheaper rods and reels for the kids, you might want to go ahead and change the line out, because a lot of times they'll put really cheap line on these little things, and it kinks up a lot. So
Not Berkeley, not Pure Fishing.
No.
We're talking about somebody else.
To avoid that problem, you might want to use some Trilene. The Berkeley Trilene XL. It's very smooth. It's a smooth 100% fluorocarbon. But what makes it good for kids is it doesn't hold memory. If you hold this up, after you pull this off the spool and do this a couple times, you can see how straight it gets, and it doesn't have a whole lot of memory from the spool.
Doesn't have hardly any.
Exactly.
I didn't even know that. Good, Dave.
Which is great because it doesn't kink up and get all messy.
Now, what about all these Gulp strip baits, Bo?
Well, Gulp products are great,
Surf bites.
for the surf and for a lot of other places to fish, because they don't degrade.
Right.
You don't have to carry bread or worms or a bucket full of minnows and all that stuff. If you go buy these packages, you can pretty much get by with using this kind of stuff on smaller things. And that Gulp scent, everything loves it. It leaches out into the water, draws fish to it. They cannot resist it. And it works just great. They got these new little fish ones. These are brand new, these little fishies there.
Right.
And you can cut those up. They cut apart really easily.
I see that.
If you wanted to cut them, the strips and or the little bites that you had before, all those things come apart really easy, and you can make them to whatever size you need to have.
Right.
And it's great to, like Tommy was saying, the surf is an amazing place to go fishing with kids, because they not only can they go fishing, they've got all the other stuff to do. They can dig holes, they can do all that.
They can play in the water.
Correct.
They can eat all your damn snacks.
Well, they're going to do that. They are going to do that.
I know. And then the one that gets me is right when you get the big fish on, I got to go to the bathroom. Are we there yet? We're here at the beach.
Yeah, yeah. But I never had a problem with that.
Because you never took your kids.
No. I would just turn around and pee when I was a little boy.
Oh.
I got in so much trouble.
You're still getting in trouble about peeing on the beach.
Many times.
All right, we got to go. Bree,
Listen to you
please
experts
get
over
us
there.
out of here.
The experts over here, man. You got to teach them the bucket trick. That's where it comes in handy. All right, well, it's time to keep the kiddos catching in the Panhandle region, and Captain Pat Deneen is just the guy to help us. Go for it, Pat.
Hey, Bree, I tell you what, I've taken a lot of kids fishing, and, to tell the truth, Dave Farrell's one of them. But I can say each kid is different in terms of skill sets and fishing knowledge. Some are brand new to fishing, while others have researched the sport and know more about the rods, reels, and fishing technology than I do. And, those are the ones that tell me how many ball bearings are in my spinning reels. So every kid's different, but the common feature for all of them, action keeps the interest up, and action can include catching bait. So be catching bait is the highlight of a lot of kids' days, it seems like. But also, if you want to just catch some real fish, Spanish mackerel, ladyfish, bluefish, they're all easy fish to catch on lures, perfect for young anglers, learning skill sets, not just how to cast and retrieve, but also fight fish. And right now, those fish are numerous. You can find them along all our beaches and on the deeper grass bottom near the inlets. And you don't have to get up early to catch them. And additionally, Spanish mackerel tastes pretty good, so it's a perfect recipe for younger anglers. And then as far as events for young fishermen, Harbor Docks in Destin, it hosts a Take a Kid Fishing Day the first weekend in November. Hundreds of kids are placed on destined charter boats for a fishing trip with a follow-up fish fry at Harbor Docks. It's completely free for the kids. It's a really great event that keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. And so mark that on your calendar. It's the first weekend in November. There's a couple photos I've got there. First one is Lila from Shalimar. And that's her and her dad, Paul, with a panhandle pond bass that she caught. It's the first ever fish for Lila, so that's breaking her into the fishing world. And then the second one is 11-year-old Weston Biggerstaff, a great name, by the way, Weston, with a freaking stud of a trout. He taught paddleboarding, some lights in Perdido. So there's a fine example of, two different kids getting their fishing on and different levels of experience. Moving on into other inshore, the tarpon migration is coming along really nicely in the Panhandle. With a few exceptions, we've had fair weather with mostly light winds, and conditions have been very, very good for chasing tarpon along the beaches. We've been getting a lot of small 40 to 50-pound fish, but really there's mixed in some 100-plus pound fish, so you really don't know what you're going to get the bite from. And a cool side note, the golden tarpon that we caught years ago on Father's Day weekend, he showed up this past weekend. This is the fourth time he's been seen in our waters on Father's Day weekend, so that's a pretty punctual tarpon. And kids can get in this tarpon fishing game as well. We've had several anglers, 10 to 12 years old, who caught a tarpon this past week, the biggest fish for them of their lives. And there's a photo of Todd Wolf. He and his family spent the day on Father's Day weekend enjoying some tarpon fishing off Panama City, and his wife Kim took that picture of him. So there's a lot going on inshore. Offshore, the king mackerel bite continues to be steady. They're fishing nearshore trolling in 60 to 100 feet of water, fishing around the bait schools, the fads, the entrance buoys, fishing over natural bottom and artificial reefs. Cigar minnows and herrings are the best baits. Most guys want to use a stinger rig on them. They're nice quality, 12 to 15-pound king mackerels, perfect for eating. But additionally, there's some bigger Spanish mackerel being mixed in with them, as well as some chicken dolphins and plenty of bonitas to keep you busy. And then finally, offshore, the red snapper fishing remains open, and the catches are coming in strong. They're becoming a bit more pressured, so you may need to lighten up on terminal tackle, especially on those public spots. The downside is that the sharks have been bad, so that lighter tackle kind of extends the fight time. So you're going to get more bites, but you're going to probably lose some more to the sharks. So just fight them as quickly as you can. Live bait, cigar minnows on a slip sticker rig are probably the best bait to use. The best fishing is on the smaller, kind of lesser known spots, with the natural bottom and the bigger concrete spots have been hit pretty good. But if you have those smaller spots, check them out, and then fish a few baits on the bottom, because there are plenty of red grouper around and a few scam.
All right, thank you so much, Pat. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Heroes on the Water hotspots from the Panhandle region. Pat says the trout and the redfish on live shrimp and minnows on the dock lights at night in Santa Rosa Sound, it's been really good. And then offshore, slow troll live cigar minnows, herrings over large artificial reefs for king mackerels and other near-shore pelagics. So guys, as you can see, joining me is Lisa from the International Game Fish Association. Every year is our time of year to talk about the kids' camps. We're doing something a little different this year. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yes, well, the summer is our favorite time because that means fishing camps. And so this year we mixed it up a little bit, and we're actually working with different cities here in South Florida to do our specialty fishing camp.
So let's talk a little bit about day one. What can the kids expect? What can mom and dad expect? Do they drop them off? How does that work?
Sure, yeah. The parents drop them off every day in the morning and then pick them up in the afternoon. And day one is the basics day. So we learn everything about fishing, how to rig your rod, how to tie your knot, how to put on your own bait, your natural bait, your artificial lures, and then also how to cast your line out in the water. And
then day two and day three?
Day 2, day 3, day 4, that is fishing. We take them fishing all the time. We take them out on different field trips, out to the Everglades, freshwater spots. Sometimes we take them out onto different piers and even out on the boats to go fishing.
So after the 4 days, now certainly you guys provide the venue and you provide all the field trips. They have to bring their own lunches, right?
Yes, they do have to bring their own lunches and a lot of snacks. These kids eat a lot while they're fishing, so please bring a lot of snacks. And Yeah, but we provide all the fishing education, the curriculum, the rods and reels, which actually the kids get to keep at the end of the week, thanks to Fish Florida.
All right, so day 5, the last day, Friday, what do we do that day?
Day 5 is the best day because we go out on the charter boat, out on the reward, and the kids go fishing in the ocean for saltwater species, and it's just all around a great day.
All right, so it looks like to me, when they've gone on the reward, how many kids can you potentially take, Lisa?
We can take up to 30 kids each week, and all 30 kids are fishing at once.
All right, so it looks like we had a big haul during this one. We had cobias and barracudas and snappers and bonitas and tunas. If people want to know a little bit more about the camps, where do we go?
You can go right to our website, which is igfa.org, and our summer camps is right there.
Well, I'm so grateful for everything that the IGFA does, and specifically for all these babies. But Bree, we got to go somewhere else.
Yes, we do. We're seeing what summer catches the youngins are reeling in the Central East region, plus seeing what our guest from Guy Harvey Foundation has to tell us. And then we're headed to the Northwest region with Captain Jeff Hageman. So stay hooked, we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Bahio, Blue Light Blocking, Radically Clear Polarized Fishing Sunglasses, Guy Harvey, every purchase helps support the health of our oceans and marine life. Penn, let the battle begin. Kubota, together we do more. And Heroes on the Water, paddle, fish, heal.
So as you can see, joining me from the Guy Harvey Foundation, Betty. So Betty, you know what? For years now, we've been talking about educating educators.
Yes.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the program that you drive for the foundation?
Absolutely. It is a pleasure to be here. I love to be with all the kids because for the foundation, one of the main missions is to create the next generation of ocean stewards, of ocean lovers. And I see here we have a studio full of kids that love the ocean and want to take care of it. So one of the things that we're doing on the Guy Harvey Foundation education side is training teachers. We're a small team. We want to help get the word out on conservation, on education, and how to support our environment. So we work with teachers, and we have a great conservation program called our Conservation Education Training. That program consists of teachers coming to spend some time with us. They spend 2 days with us on habitats all across the state of Florida. And they get to learn about conservation, they get to learn about all different types of marine topics, and then they get to spend the day in these beautiful habitats. We've taken teachers kayaking, we've taken teachers snorkeling, we've taken teachers fishing, and then in turn those teachers go back to their schools and they take all of that education into their classrooms. And so,
wow.
Yes.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
So I have a question that
Yes.
came to mind. You know, this isn't cheap, but after you've educated the teachers,
yes.
are they able to, at that point, take the kids on a fishing trip or do some kind of experience with them? How do they do that?
Absolutely. So we want to get kids salty. We want to get kids out of the classroom or out of being in front of screens and get them back into the natural world so they can create that love of nature and then take care of it. So to do that, we support teachers. If 2 teachers from a school come to our conservation training, they can become a Guy Harvey Conservation School.
Wow.
And when they become a Guy Harvey Conservation School, they get $1,000 per teacher to take their kids on field trips, to take their kids fishing, and to have their kids experience nature and really inspire them to love it.
So, Betty, we do have a little something outside of the ordinary here. We understand the Guy is celebrating his 70th birthday, so why don't we tell everybody about a little contest we got going on?
Yes. So we had the kids earlier create postcards for Guy, and we're going to be taking them over to him in Cayman in September for his 70th birthday. And so if you have ever been inspired by Guy Harvey, his art, his love of conservation, and his love for the ocean, please send him a birthday card, a birthday letter, some well wishes, and There is an address where you can send it to our corporate offices, and all of those messages will go to him.
It's right there on the screen, guys. Betty, you hit it out of the park. Home run, just like always. Didn't have any doubt whatsoever. Good job. But you know what, Bree? We've got to go to the Northwest region to see our buddy Jeff Hageman. What do you say?
Yes, we do. Well, there's smiles for miles, and it's all our Northwest region captain, Jeff Hageman, needs to keep the kids on board. So, Jeff, let's take them catching.
One of my favorite things to do is take a kid fishing. They're some of my most memorable and rewarding charters I do. The look on that kid's face when he or she catches their first fish, their biggest fish, absolutely priceless. There's no greater reward out there. Some of my most memorable experiences growing up fishing with my dad, with the hundreds of parks and miles of shorelines we have that are accessible, lakes, rivers in my region. There's not an excuse to get out there and get a kid out there fishing, and they're never too young. If you're not a fisherman, you can go to your local bait shop and get some information and get geared up. Local fishing seminars in clubs, or just hire a guide out there. There's not a better way to get out there and experience the outdoors than taking a little kid out there fishing and enjoying it. And speaking of a little kid, I've got a video here of my nephew, Tyler Hageman, with a nice beach trout he just caught a couple days ago.
How cool.
Nice. That's a perk, having Uncle Jeff as your uncle to be on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. That's kind of a cool deal. What do you think?
Funkle.
No, he's so excited to see it. He's so excited.
All right.
Congrats,
All right, let's
man.
roll. Tell me what else you got going on, bub.
Big Nasty Sport Fishing out of St. Pete reports the red snapper right now. He's finding some great red snapper in 160 to 180 feet of water over rock bottom ledges and hard bottom. 8 ounces of lead, 5/0 trocar circle hook, and 60 to 80 pound fluorocarbon leader. He says live bait's working really good, but the jigs are also working pretty good too. And I've got a photo here of an average American red snapper off our coast.
Nice. All right, what else you got? Let's go inshore.
But on inshore, Captain James Kerr out of Crystal River reports the redfish bite's been heating up. Staying with the mullet schools on low tide has been the success he's had all week, and that's been his little key, is finding those mullet schools on these recent trips he's had. Redfish have been feeding really aggressive on those lower tide windows, especially along the edges of the oyster bars and mangrove and hard bottom areas. Bait of choice has been a shrimp on a jig or a free line, or gold spoons have also been really productive. Moving on up the coast a little bit, Captain Bobby Brady out of Steinhatchee reports her redfish bite has been really good. She's also looking for those big mullet schools and seeing large schools of redfish. 3.5 to 3 inch twitch baits have been working really good. Also, gold spoons in her area has been working good, and she's fishing creek mouths and rocky areas. And that's been her ticket to success lately. And I got a couple photos here of a nice Crystal River redfish from Captain James, and another one from Captain Bobby Brady of a nice Steinhatchee red.
That's beautiful. All right, one to go. Tarpons, tell me.
The tarpon right now are along the beaches and passes and flats from St. Pete's Crystal River. Right now we had them spawn on that last moon, so they're going to be trickling back in, so look for them along the beaches. They just got done spawning, so those fish are going to be rolling in, and look for them rolling. Crabs, threadfins, flies, plugs, all been working well. The wind's been pushing them to the bottom a little bit, so spend a little extra time and go a little slower along the beaches. The fish aren't showing real good right now. They're staying on the bottom, hugging the bottom, rolling just a little bit here and there. So take a little extra time, go a little slower down the beaches, and you'll find those schools of fish that aren't showing good. And they are hungry from coming in from offshore spawn.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Discover Crystal River hotspots. He says inshore, snook along the beaches and the passes, drift the pinfish on the outgoing tide to catch those line siders. And then offshore, the mangoes. They're on the near shore and offshore ledges and rock piles. Use sardines and the shrimp on a knocker rig. What do you think, Bree?
I think it would be so much fun to have Captain Jeff Hageman as an uncle.
Oh, it would
What a
be.
lucky kid.
You know
He's
what
like the most
I think's
interesting guy in the
not
world.
fun?
What?
These poor guys that got to sit behind me and look at.
Hi, guys.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys, but it is what it is, right?
It is what it is. All right, let's welcome our Central East Region Captain, Mike Mann, filling in for Jim Ross. Mike, thanks for joining us on the Kids Fun this week. Go ahead with your report.
Hey, thanks for inviting me aboard. You know, I love getting kids on my boat. I understand it's not always about catching the hero species. It's about getting them excited about fishing, and that can sometimes mean catching ladyfish, small jacks, or even catfish. Teaching them how to bait their hooks and how to handle fish, you can make it a learning experience without it feeling like a classroom. There's a lot of great places to introduce kids to fishing, from the local piers to the small neighborhood ponds. You don't need a lot of fancy tackle. Just a simple Snoopy pole, a small hook, and a bobber will get the job done. In freshwater, worms or bread balls work great, and in saltwater, everything eats a shrimp. The more bites they get, the more into it they will be. Bring lots of patience and a lot of bait, and be prepared to answer a lot of questions. You see them starting to lose interest, call it a day. You want to make it a pleasurable experience. First photo I've got is one of my regulars, Grayson, who came out with his grandpa holding a nice ladyfish.
All right.
Nice.
Looking good. Tell me about the tarpon, Mike.
Oh, the inshore bite on the tarpon has been great in the New Smyrna Beach area on the first and last hours of the outgoing tide. Using a 7/0 circle hook with a live mullet or pinfish, drifted it back to the rolling fish on the outgoing tide. Using side scan fish finder can be an easy way to locate the fish if they aren't rolling. You may need to add a bit of weight to your line to get the baits down if they aren't coming to the surface. Make sure you're using the proper tackle for the fish you are targeting. The fish have been ranging from 30 to 100 pounds in the New Smyrna Beach area and can be leader shy if the water is clear. I downsized to 30-pound leader to get the bite on the 30 to 50-pound fish, and 50-pound leader for the larger fish. This photo is me with an inshore tarpon I got on my birthday back last week.
Nice.
Happy
Looking
birthday.
good. Looking good. All right, let's go offshore, Pop.
All right, offshore, the flounder have started arriving in the New Smyrna area a little bit late this year due to cooler ocean water in the east central region. Right now, they can be found just off the nearshore reef on the sandy bottoms. The Flagler and Sunclow reefs, as well as Site 5 and 6 reefs, are great places to catch them. They can be caught using knocker rigs with a 3/0 circle hook or a 1/2 ounce bottom sweeper jig with shrimp or mud minnows. One of my favorite ways to catch these flounder is to set up a drift, dragging the baits along the sandy bottom until I locate them. Bite can be a little subtle, often feeling like they're snagged on the bottom. They are ambush feeders. They will lay camouflage on the bottom until prey is in their range. Some of the flounder being caught now are in the 15 to 24-inch range. This photo I got right here is a lady on Caught Up Charters with Captain Bruno. She got a nice flounder earlier this week.
All right.
Nice.
Tell me about the lane snappers, Bubba.
Oh, we've had some good lane snapper action being caught on the Volusia County reef in 60 to 80 feet of water using live shrimp and squid on a chicken rig. Sometimes you have to move around a little bit on these reefs to get into them, but once you find them, you can load up quickly. Some of the better reefs for catching the fish have been the ones with culverts or rock piles. Lanes being caught in this region are up to 21 inches, with the average being 14 or 15. And the photo I've got right here is a Osceola County Sheriff's officer that fished with me, holding a 21-inch lane snapper we got.
Dude, thank you so much for filling in for Jimmy. Appreciate all of the beautiful pictures.
You did a great job.
We hope to see you some more. We need to encourage Jimmy to go out of town more so you can fill in for him, right, Mike?
Well, I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
You did a great job. Thank you so much for helping us out. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots from the Central East region. He says the tarpon in the ICW on mullet and pinfish with a 7/0 circle hook. And then if you want to go offshore, anglers have been catching flounder on the Sunglow and the Flagler reefs.
Rick's just giving away bass assassins galore over here.
I'm like flipping plastics everywhere.
You get one and you get one.
That's
okay.
it.
Well, Rick, we always.
I don't think it was like that. It was more like this.
It was more like, here you go.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Well, we always like to have a little pre-show party in Studio B. So
Yes.
let's take a behind-the-scenes look at all the fun we had without you.
Yes, you did.
Welcome everyone to Studio B. We start here at the check-in table with our amazing crew, RM Media. Say hi everybody. And then from this table we walk into the kids room where we have a bunch of knot tying tables, casting tables. We have some sponsors here from IGFA, CCA, Guy Harvey. So come on and enjoy the fun with us. So we're here with Adventure Ace and the Mustache Man. What do you hope for that kids get inspired by from this book?
Just to remember that every day and every trip can be an adventure, whether it's a bike ride or fishing or going to a ballpark. You know, everything's an adventure, especially when you're a child learning the world.
Amazing. I totally agree. Leo and I are going to read this book tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And we'll see you on set. Thanks, Ace. You can have your treat now. Go ahead.
Ah, yeah, there it is.
So we're here with Christian, and we are using art, science, conservation to inspire kids about how to keep our oceans clean, right?
Yeah, precisely. So this is our plastic portraits program. Essentially what we do is we make fish artwork, utilizing plastics that we recover from beach cleanups that we've done over the years, and we make it into beautiful artwork such as this. Obviously, plastic is a huge problem in our oceans, and using common sense, we can reduce some of it.
What's your favorite fish?
Largemouth bass.
Largemouth bass. Go.
Mahi mahi.
Mahi mahi. What is your favorite bait to use?
Fish.
Fish? What kind of fish, you know? Shiners? Tug of war.
So it's Guy Harvey's 70th birthday this year, and so we have a stamping table where they can create a beautiful postcard for Dr. Harvey, write a birthday message for him, and we are going to give them all to him on his 70th birthday in September.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great idea.
Yes.
So we're over here at the casting station. We've got some awesome casting anglers with us. What's your name?
Hunter.
Hunter? Do you love to fish, Hunter?
Yes.
Yes? Who taught you how to cast so well?
My uncle.
Your uncle did? That is so cool. What is the biggest fish you've ever caught?
A bass.
A bass? Can you show me how big it was with your hands? Like that big? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Have you guys had fun over here in Studio B?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you ready to have more of the show?
Yeah.
Okay, what are we gonna say? Back to you in the studio! You missed out, man. We were dancing, we were laughing, we were casting.
I always miss out on the good stuff.
It was such a good time. It was so good to see all those smiling faces in there. A lot of kids have come back.
Yes.
So I've seen them go from here to here to here, and it was so amazing to see everyone.
But Ridge is only this tall.
I wasn't talking about Rich.
Okay.
I wasn't talking about Rich.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, well, stay with us. We're talking with an impressive young IGFA record holder coming up next. And then we have our Black Oak LED Keys Region Captain Ridge Murphy with an exciting announcement he won't want to miss. We'll be right back. There he is.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. And Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark.
So as you can see, joining me is Julia Mason Bernstein, who happens to be an IGFA world record holder. So Julia, you know what, let's just start off. Let's talk about when you first started fishing.
So I started fishing for fun when I was 6,
Yeah.
and I won my first Pee Wee division in the Key West Fishing Tournament when I was 9. My mom was the one who got me into fishing. She has 6 IGFA world records.
Wow, so how old are you now?
I'm 14.
Nice. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the fish that you've caught. First off, I think it's really important that people understand that going out, you know, it can be intimidating, whether it's boys or girls, it can be intimidating to go out fishing. So, you know what, let's talk a little bit about how much fun it is for you. But let's start off with one of the first fish that you caught. Let's cue this tape. Here we got this beautiful bluefish, and I can see there's a rod there that looks familiar. That's one of your mom's rods that were built when she was fishing competitively. So tell me a little bit about this bluefish.
So this is one of the first IGFA records I caught. It was a length record. It was 80 centimeters.
Nice. So how many records do you have?
So currently I have 30 IGFA world records, 14 pending, and 7 Florida state records.
Wow, good for you, really good for you. So I want to take a look at some of the pictures that you've got. So we got a sheep head here. So how does that what did that sheep head weigh, Julia?
That was 6 pounds, 13 ounces. It was my first women's world record.
All right. So what else do we have? This is the bluefish. Is that the biggest bluefish you've ever caught?
Yeah.
Wow. Did it take long to fight?
Yeah, it took like 20 minutes.
Where'd you catch it?
Key West.
Down in Key West? Yeah. With Dale?
With Dale Bittner.
All right. So what else? Speaking of Dale, here he is.
Yeah.
So,
so that was my 30-pound barracuda I caught on 20-pound line. That weekend was really fun. We caught records for barracuda on 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, and 20-pound line.
You swept that whole category. That is so awesome. Now, as you know, permit are one of my favorite inshore fish. You have a permit record? I'm so jelly.
Yeah. That was my 74 centimeter. It was an IGFA and Florida State record.
So let me ask you something. A few weeks ago, we unofficially met, but we met at the Adopt a Redfish in Biscayne Bay. So here you are, let's run this video. Here you are releasing the Adopt a Redfish that you have. Now, do you know what just happened this week with that fish?
Yeah. So they caught it. So they're tagged and someone caught the redfish, and it was so cool to know that I released it and now someone caught it.
So the cool part about this, Julia, and conservation is a huge part of your message. That fish swam about a mile or so away, went up the Matheson Channel, and guess what? That guy released that fish as well. So good for you. I know conservation is a huge part of what you do. We're grateful that you're here. What would you recommend to all these kids when we're talking about fishing?
I would say to get out there and go fishing, to practice conservation, so one day someone else can hopefully catch a bigger, older version of your fish, and to never give up. I caught hundreds of fish before I caught my first record. I talked to all my captains and I kept trying, and then I caught my first record. So just never give up.
Well, we're really proud of you. Good job. You did a great job tonight. Great. We got to go someplace else.
Julia, you're such a role model. Thank you for being here with us and showing these kids what being an angler is all about. Yeah. All right, the Black Oak LED Keys region, and kids really do go hand in hand. And luckily, we have our captain, Ridge Murphy, with us in the studio for his report. You're going live, Ridge.
You know, taking a kid fishing is something that's always been a big component on the charter docks all throughout the Keys. From anchoring on the nearshore patches, fishing with light spinning rods, with yellowtail jigs and a piece of shrimp, for a variety of small snappers and grunts, to inshore trout fishing or mangrove snapper fishing all over the backcountry. When it comes to kids, the Black Oak LED region has a lot to offer. In fact, I'm willing to bet unofficially that the Keys has more caught first fish than any other region. The main thing you want to do when it comes to taking kids fishing is keeping it simple. They don't know the difference between a bonnethead shark or a bonefish, and on the calm days you can anchor up on the shallow patches and soak chum bags, drifting baits like shrimps or cut ballyhoo behind the boat to catch a variety of different small reef fish. And if everybody's got their sea legs, you can slide out to 60 to 90 feet of water and do some yellowtailing. On the inshore side of things, ladyfish, trout, mangrove snappers are your friends. A 1/4 ounce jig head on the bottom and the finger channels and around the islands can make your day. Keep a wire rod ready because every little kid wants to catch a big shark. And this is a good way to teach mechanics from sight fishing, presentation, rod placement, pump and winding, making sure you turn the rod handle before you drop the rod, etc. I have a photo of my buddy Graham with a big lemon shark that we caught on our last trip, and I also have another photo of Caden with his first permit and his granddad, Randy Towle.
Nice. Randy Towle, there he goes. All right, Ridge, what else you got for us this week, Bubba?
You know, keeping it kid-friendly, yellowtail fishing is really good from 60 to 90 feet of water. Look for them on the bottom machine and anchor up. Use your anchor or your Rodan trolling motor on spot lock to keep you in place and start chumming. Chum a mixture of frozen chum, sand, and oats, and one at a time drifting light spinners back with a cut bait like ballyhoo, shrimps, pieces of gulp, with little resistance on 10 to 12 pound mono tied straight to the hook. And remember, 12 inches to the fork of the tip of the tail and 10 per person.
All right, let's go inshore, Ridge.
In the backcountry of Islamorado and Key Largo, the snook fishing has been pretty good. Fish light tackle or light, medium, light spinning rods on the edges of the flats and the potholes and finger channels and the moats around the islands with Bass Assassin 4-inch sea sheds, pink, white, or neutral colors like Houdini or Opening Night. You can rig these baits on a 1/4 ounce or 1/2 ounce jig head weedless depending on how bad the grass is. You can also use live pinfish with a 5/0 Eagle Claw circle hook on a 40-pound leader under a cork throwing bait up against the trees for some bigger fish. Keeping that kid theme, I have a photo of my buddy Spike with a nice snook that we got together on our last trip.
All right. Tell me what else, one to go.
All the rain that we had last week has cooled off the water temps and has made the tarpon fishing pretty good. All the fresh water running off the glades has been making the backcountry fishing turn back on. Look for rolling fish in the lakes and juveniles up against the islands and the moats surrounding them. You can throw the same setups that you would throw to the snooks, light to medium light Fenwick spinning rods with a 4,000 pen slammer or authority loaded with 10 to 15 pound braided Berkeley X5 braided line. 30 to 4 pound fluorocarbon leader with a Bass Assassin paddle tail or 5-inch jerkbait. And for the bigger fish, you could throw a Die Dapper or Artemis shad will also work. I have another photo and I want to congratulate Jillian Tisdale and Adam DeBrant for winning the ladies tarpon tournament this past week down in the Keys.
All right, good job there, young Richard. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the scientific angler hotspots from the Florida Keys region. Ridge says that, I gotta get my notes because I can't see anymore. He says inshore backcountry, snook and tarpon fishing, throw medium light Fenwick spinning rods and Bass Assassin soft plastics 1/4 to 1/2 ounce jig heads are working the edge of the flats and around the islands. And then offshore, the yellowtails is 60 to 90 feet of water, chumming with frozen chum, sand, oaks, drift the baits like little pieces of shrimp, cut ballyhoo, and chunks of fish bites back behind the boat with 0 resistance.
All right, well, Ridge is still sitting with us, so we have an exciting announcement. Ridge, soon enough, you'll be taking your very own kid fishing, and on Father's Day, you had an amazing gender reveal. So let's see the video. Baby Murphy is a girl.
Little girl.
Look at all that pink.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Ridge, you're gonna be a daddy. Congratulations
we're super excited.
to you and Santana.
What you talking about him and be a daddy? I'm gonna be a granddaddy with a little girl. Are you kidding me?
I got you this.
I've been waiting forever for a girl.
There we go. I got you this little,
you got to give that to
little lure
Santana
outfit.
and get it all ready to go.
You know, it might be her first fishing outfit in the wintertime, we'll see, but she'll be cuddling with you in it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Wow.
congrats to the Murphys, Santana, your wife. I'm so excited. Maybe she'll be like Julia one day. All the IGFA records. All right, let's dive on in and see what tournaments are going on in the Florida Keys. First, a winner-take-all grand prize of up to $25,000 is to be awarded to the team that posts the highest aggregate weight of 3 mahi after June 25th to the 26th Islamorada Fishing Club Captain's Cup Dolphin Tournament. Next, cash prizes await the 1st through 4th place anglers and the top junior, female, and PBA member anglers in the Florida Keys Police Benevolent Association Dolphin Tournament that takes place June 27th through the 29th at Stock Island. Then in this fun Tarpon on Fly tournament, the team with the most releases of tarpon 4 foot or longer wins trophies and bragging rights. Will the 2024 champions Captain Rick and Ridge Murphy return to claim their title? I don't know, we'll see. And last but not least, celebrating its 44th year, the Key West Marlin Tournament features $50,000 in cash prizes in the Marlin division and more in the Fun Fish division as part of the annual Hemingway Days celebration in Key West. Registration is open for up to 75 boats. But for more information on these Keys tournaments and more, go to flakeys.com. You okay over here? We're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
I'm good.
All right, we're practicing our cast in the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region with Captain Jimbo Thomas and checking in with our girl from CCA Florida Star. Plus our Captain Jeff Page is keeping the kids plenty entertained in the StarTron Central West region. So stay with us.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, conserving Florida's fisheries since 1985. Frontrunner Boatworks, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. and strike zone fishing.
So, as you can see, joining me here at the CCA Workbench is Andrea Gillespie from CCA Florida Star Tournament. Andrea, you know what? Tonight it's all about the kids. I know that Star certainly has a giant kids division. So let's talk a little bit about that.
They do. So it's that time of year, May through September, 100 days of fishing for these kiddos. They enter them into the Star app. We do a random drawing for 12 scholarships.
12 scholarships. How much money are we giving away each year?
$100,000
In scholarships.
in scholarship money.
So, Andrea, how does it work? How do they get qualified? Certainly they got to sign up, but then what?
They just fish and they just enter it into the app.
Any fish they want.
Any fish
Any
qualifies.
fish that they catch. So basically, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like a little lottery drawing. You guys, if you catch a jack, you put the jack in. If you catch a ladyfish, you put the ladyfish in. Anything
Correct.
you catch, and
Anything
that's
you
another
catch.
ticket to potentially be pulled.
That's right.
So what size scholarships are they?
We have two 25,000 and 10 5,000.
Wow.
We've given away $1 million in college scholarships already.
Good for you guys. Way to
So-
go. You know what? So if we have any questions about Star, whether it's kid driven or not, where do we go?
We go to the website, www.ccaflstar.org.
All right, so I got a question for you.
Sure.
How many redfish so far this year, since the last weekend in May, have been caught and not been registered?
We've only had 2 so far.
2, but guess what? Those fish were released back into
They
the
were.
place. All right.
And they were not registered, so we still have all the boats up for grabs with the Yamaha motors and trailers.
So tell everybody how easy it is to register. You just go online, then what?
You sign up for a CCA membership and you register for Star, and you fish.
That's it. And the kids fish for free?
Kids do fish for free, and all the kids here tonight got their CCA membership and Star registration.
Congratulations,
So
guys.
they just need to fish now so they can get their scholarships. Yeah.
You did great. All right, Bree. Let's roll into another region.
My girls on the boat over here. All right, we're getting kids hooked on fishing, and all we care about in the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region is getting them outside and on the water, no matter what is on the end of the line. Right, Jimbo?
That's correct, Bree, and hello to everybody there in the studio. Yeah, when it comes to taking kids out, it doesn't matter what's on the end of the line as long as it's a fish. Now, catching blue runners and pinfish for bait, that's often the highlight of the day when we have kids out on the Thomas Flyer. We like to use light spinning outfits that they can easily handle. And another way to keep the rods bent is to anchor up on any of the shallow reefs throughout the region. And you want to fish with live or dead shrimp. And you can usually keep everybody occupied catching small snapper, grunts, jacks, and also other assorted reef fish. So it's going to be catch and release, but it's a lot of fun. And if you don't have a boat, another great way to get the kids on the water for a fairly reasonable price is on one of the many party fishing boats or fishing piers throughout the region. And they'll usually also supply or rent you the tackle. Now, any of the lakes or canals throughout the region are also great places to catch fish like bass, tilapia, peacock bass, and brim. But then here in the Southeast region, there's a couple of youth fishing programs and camps. Captain Mike Poehler aboard the Lisa L. He's got a charter boat out of Key Biscayne. He runs the Fishing Experience, which is a totally hands-on offshore sport fishing summer camp for ages 7 and up. And then on Friday, kids under 12 go for free on the Reward Party boat, which sails out of Miami. That's with a paid adults. Now I got a photo here. This is a huge yellowfin tuna that the kids aboard the Lisa L caught with Mike Poehler while they were attending the Fishing Experience last week. So that's a heck of a catch there.
Man, beautiful sickles, Jimbo. All right, tell me about the trout.
So, yeah, the sea trout fishing is still good in North Biscayne Bay. You want to fish from Venetian Causeway north to Oliver Inlet. Look for any of the grass flats that are holding bait, and also areas with good moving water and anywhere from 3 to 8 feet of water. You want to fish with small live baits under a popping cork, like a small herring, a pilchard, or a pinfish, or a jig head tipped with a gulp shrimp
or a bass assassin tail will also work, and also some twitch baits. That's what these trout are being caught on. There's also been some mangrove snapper mixed in, and these trout have been some nice sized ones, up to 4 pounds. Then moving offshore, dolphin fish has been pretty steady in the last week. We've been finding schools of fish anywhere from 5 to 15 miles offshore. But the problem is there's been seaweed scattered from one end of the ocean to the other, so it's been hard to fish to. And also a lot of these fish have been on the small side. So you want to pick through the small fish and just weed them out, keep the few legals, and move on. We've been tagging and releasing all the short ones we catch on the flyer. Now, most of the schools, they've been around scattered weed, which has been plenty of it, and then the bigger patches have also been holding fish. You want to look for floating debris, and there's been some caught under birds. And once you do find them, they haven't been too finicky, been catching them on the troll with rig baits and small lures. Once we find the fish, we've been pitching small live baits and cut bait to them. And there's been a few larger fish caught under frigate birds. Just got to get lucky finding those bigger ones. Got another photo here. This is 8-year-old Caleb Cabrera with a nice dolphin that he caught with his dad and some buddies off of Miami last week. And then there's also been some decent sail fishing in the last week. We've had a lot of north current, and that's the key to catching sailfish. And they've been caught on both the blue and the green water, but blue water is going to be better. And as long as that current keeps up, fishing should remain good. Most of the fish are being caught anywhere from 100 to 250 feet of water on live baits, herrings, pilchards, goggle eyes. Good choices. You want to fish them under the kite or on flat lines. And also you want to keep an eye out for any free jumping sails. And if you get lined up in front of those free jumpers, good chance of getting a bite as well. And then in the Miami area, best bite has been from Fowey Rocks south, but that can change overnight.
All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. Great report, as always. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the ACR hotspots from the southeast region. He says fish artificials and small live baits under floats for sea trout in North Biscayne Bay, and then offshore look for the mahis under the birds, floating debris and weeds in 500 to 1,200 feet of water. Guess what? They're there.
They're there.
We got to go get them.
All right. Well, first impressions are everything when it comes to fishing at a young age. So let's see what suggestions our StarTron Central West region Captain Jeff Page has for us. What's up, Page?
Hey, you know, we have a great region for kids fishing, and it all starts with different opportunities available for the kids to get out fishing. During the summer months, we have anything from kids fishing camps to different land tournaments and some of the bigger popular tournaments with a youth or junior division. But as far as the fishing camps go, there's one down south in Port Charlotte. There's one up in Sarasota Bay called the Sarasota Fishing Camp that I know of personally. There's one up in Cockroach Bay, and then I believe there's one in Port DeSoto. And a good way to find all four of them is just Google Central West region or Central West Florida kids fishing camps, and they all pop up. And they're for beginners to expert kids. The CCA Star Tournament is another great way to get kids involved into kids fishing and measuring of fish and releasing fish and teaching them all those basics. And then, of course, Rick, nothing beats taking a kid out to a seawall or a public lake or park and just letting him hook a chunk of a hot dog or a worm on his hook and catch a pinfish or a brim or anything and him do it all himself. It's pretty special. We all remember the first time we did it. And like Johnny Walker says, he's a longtime captain in my region. He says, always take a kid fishing because someday when you're too old to do it, they may take you fishing.
That could be me.
That's it. And I got two pictures tonight in my kids. One, that's young Robbie Gorda with his first tarpon that he landed himself with his dad, Captain Rob Gorda. And then that second photo is a crew of kids from the Sarasota Fishing Camp. Moving to snook. Snook fishing remains really good, and lots of fish are being taken at night when that water cools down just a few degrees.
All right, Captain Page, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. He says the tarpon fishing remains really good with lots of fish up and down the coast. Our beaches from Boca Grande Pass north to Egmont, early morning and late afternoon, use crabs and cork thread fins, pinfish during the day. And then if you want to go offshore, guys, listen, the permit, there's lots of permit holding on the artificial reefs from 3 to 7 mile range. Live free line crabs is the best way. If they're swimming a little deep, you want to put a piece of split shot on there when it's choppy, and that'll help keep your crab down.
All right, well, if you're cruising around Florida this summer, do it with a cause and rock the Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate, which is right here. Your $25 goes straight to supporting clean water, restoring habitats, protecting marine life. Make sure you get yours at your local DMV or online at redfishtag.com. Rick, we're in the parents section right now, and I just want to say thank you to all you parents that get your kids out fishing. It's all because of you that they are our future. So let me just say that real quick. Thank you to all of you.
We appreciate you being here. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've hopped saltwater playgrounds all around Florida with one more left to go in the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region. So let's break out the Swedish fish to keep us going. And we're going to chat with Ronnie Houston live in the studio when we come back. And there he is.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Fenwick, feel everything. Phillips and Jordan, building critical infrastructure that matters. Castaway Coffee, one taste and you'll be hooked. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy, fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today's Power Pole tip is about the new Power Pole View 4.2-inch touchscreen display. The Power Pole View is sleek, low profile, and controls all your Power Pole products from one device right here on my dash. The first tab is my anchor tab. I can run my Power Pole anchors up and down. I can also adjust my speed setting from fast, medium, and slow. The next tab over is my charge tab. I can see the voltage of all my trolling motor batteries and my engine battery. I can also adjust the priority if I want more power to the trolling or more power to the engine right here from the display. And if my motor won't start, I can even initiate an emergency start. And the last tab is the Power Pole Move screen. We took the Power Pole Move remote and put it right here on a touchscreen, so you're used to all the great controls. But the big thing I like is I can even see the head of the trolling motor right here on the screen. We all know people like to stand in front of the trolling motor while you're fishing, and now I can see the direction that the trolling motor is going. To learn more about the Power Pole View, go to powerpole.com, and that's your Power Pole tip.
All right, well, we have our Phillips and Jordan Southwest Region captains live in the studio with us and have some very useful kids fishing tips. But Ron, I really relate to your first one, so let's share it with the other parents out there, shall we?
Well, I'll tell you what, in the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region, we try to keep it simple. I'm going to give you a few suggestions when it comes to fishing with a kid. First, buying an inexpensive rod and reel combo is going to be the key. Bass Pro Shops in my region has many options as well as captains that'll help you outfit your youngster. Secondly, Southwest Florida has plenty of locations throughout the whole region like beaches, passes, bridges, and canals. If you want to fish saltwater, keep it simple. Live shrimp, cut baits, bucktail jigs, and spoons. Cast the baits out with a little bit of weight, let it set, the fish will pick it up. For spoons and jigs, just cast it out and retrieve it slowly. For you freshwater enthusiasts, bread, live worms, and shiners can be used free-lined or under cork. In both instances, 2 to 3/0 circle hooks is recommended. So when you're using bait, just wait for the rod to bend and have the angler just reel. And for corks, keep it simple, a bright colored cork. Once it goes under, all you want to do is reel. And I have a photo this week of a youth angler while fishing with Captain Danny Latham up in Boca Grande with a nice tarpon release. Second topic is going to be the tarpon on the inshore side. The tarpon bite remains strong throughout the whole region. Now, if we have winds and rains, it's going to be a little bit tough. Concentrate your efforts in the backcountry now because with all the rain we're getting, juvenile tarpon are showing up in the feeder creeks in the Everglades backcountry all the way to Goon Key, and that's due to the rains. Now, mark a while in the Boca Grande, concentrate on your outer beaches and passes. Also, light to moderate winds along the coast are going to benefit you. But if it gets a little bit rough, a lot of people ain't doing this. I don't see it because I'm out there snook fishing. The nighttime bite bridge spans from Fort Myers Beach to Charlotte Harbor. The shadow lines are going to be the key. Baits of choice are going to be live crabs, pinfish, herring, free lined or under a cork or an artificial, Bass Assassin Artemis shad or the new Berkeley coal shads are also getting the job done. I've got another picture this week of a youth angler while fishing with Captain Danny Latham with another tarpon release. The offshore report remains strong for the red snappers. Good bites, reports in depths of 140 to 200. Now you got a couple options. You can use cut and live baits. You can use chicken rigs on 7/0 hooks, 60-pound fluorocarbon. But if you don't want to use chicken rigs, 7 to 10 ounces of weight's going to get the job done depending upon the current. Also, moving around, looking for areas of bait raised up off the bottom. Once you find them areas, live pinfish, cut squid, herring and sardines are going to be the bait of choice. And I've got limited out redfish snapper, red snapper bite with Captain Davis Olson out of Naples. Last species is going to be the permit. Now, watching the wind and the rains right now, fishing local artificial reefs and wrecks according to on-a-mission fishing charters out of Naples. You can fish as close as 7 miles, like I heard Jeff say earlier, catching some permits as close as 7, out to 30 miles. The water is clean and you can see fish on top. If not, drift across some of these areas with live crabs, weighted or unweighted, to figure out where they are in the water column. Right now, live crabs seem to be the best. I've got another picture this week of while fishing with on-a-mission fishing charters out of Naples with another youth angler getting it done. So the captains in my region taking these youth anglers out are simply getting it done.
Yes,
Speaking of getting it done, Ronnie, this is your personal favorite. So why don't you tell everybody why you like this world-class with the authority reel? Well, last week we talked about using the Jaywalker, and I find that I've fished several rods in my years of fishing. This combination, the 8 to 17 medium, is the simplest rod I've seen with the action to make the Jaywalker walk the dog. If you're not familiar with walking a dog, and it can be difficult, for some reason this rod blank gets the job done. Don't take a lot of practice, but I'll either use the 3500 Authority with some X-sprayed Berkeley 20 pounds, 40-pound fluorocarbon, or you can use a Penn Battle 3,000 or 4,000. It'll work about the same. The action's about the same. So if you're looking to learn how to walk the dog, I strongly suggest the 8 to 17 world-class Fenwick. It definitely gets the job done.
You like a 7.6 or 7 foot for throwing walking the dog lures?
I prefer the 7-footer. I don't prefer the 7.6. I prefer the 7-footer. It's just a lot easier to work. You can cast this. I could actually, exaggerating, cast this from here to Naples. That's how far that X-braid comes off the spool. So that combination right there for top water,
gets the job done.
Not inexpensive though.
Great job, Midnight. We really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region. Ronnie says the snook and redfish Coon Key to Pavilion Key, Outer Gulf Islands at the high water using live pinfish, pilchards, and that Berkeley J. Walker 120. And then guess what? Offshore, yellowtails and mangrove snappers on the wrecks and the ledges. Marco Island to Fort Myers Beach, 45 to 65 feet of water. Way to go, dude. Appreciate you very much.
You know what?
Go ahead.
It's a pleasure being here. What impressed me the most tonight was that youth angler with all those IGFA records.
Julie, yes.
I'll tell you what, she loves the water, and being a conservationist really impresses me.
Absolutely, me too.
Go,
All right,
Bree.
Floridians, if you're dreaming of blue water and big game, then listen up. Right, Rick?
That's right. We're going to go to the 44th annual Key West Marlin Tournament. It's set for July 23rd through the 26th during the heart of the legendary Key West Hemingway Days in Key West, Florida.
Last year's tournament reeled in a whopping $268,000 in cash payouts from the Marlin and Funfish divisions, Rick.
That's a lot of money, Bree. You know what? So guess what? Bring your crew, bring your family. Key West is calling, guys.
Get all the details and lock in your spot now at keywestmarlin.com. But it's almost time to get these kids out of the studio and on the water, catching to their heart's desire with rod and reel combos donated by Pure Fishing. But don't run off just yet. We have to tell you what our species of the week next week will be. We'll be right back with all the craziness. And the parents over there. All right, next week we are talking dolphin, mahi-mahi, so make sure you tune in. But you know what, thank you to everyone, parents, crew, captains, and especially our sponsors who made this show possible and contributed to all these kids' swag buckets. TH Marine, Scientific Anglers, Rodan, Power Pole, Yamaha, Florida Coast Equipment. Thank you everybody for being here and more. We're gonna get these kiddos out on the water, and we'll see you next year, or next week. High five.